What's up guys, Nolan here, and the day has finally come where we get to play Broken Arrow again and get to show it off. A lot has changed, so in terms of getting stuck in, I'm going to walk you through some deck choices that include new units for the United States. Starting with the OG Armored Marine, but we lost some things while some other things have changed. If you guys want to question something, go for it. You can also come by a stream if you have more questions. I'll be able to go back and forth, answer things in real time over there as well. Link on the screen and in the description. So, first things first, you can overbuy in each category as long as you didn't know, or if you didn't know, and as long as the deck price doesn't go over 10k, then you are good. The indicator will be red to show that you are not good. So, if things are orange, you're good to go. You're going to be overspending a little bit. If they're red, you're not good to go. You need to change something there, whether it be in the deck in total or in a specific category. Going top to bottom here, the scout snipers are a must. The 50 cals for each of these teams reach really far away, and they ignore cover now, while the DMRs ignore 50% of the cover now. They're also sneaky, especially if you turn the guns off. Remember to turn the guns off if you're going to be sneaking around. So they're really good at getting behind enemy lines, especially with the big maps now. The maps are really wide. They're much bigger. Having these sniper teams really move around can be super effective, so make sure to put some out there. Cav scouts, similar story, but with javelins, they're really just here because the scout Bradleys, to be honest, which are good when stacked to the max. If you can bring APS on a vehicle, bring it. Two B-Fists are also there. Their view distance is a bit better, and their price is also a bit better, but they also get the Iron Dome as well. You also get the Tua for that view distance and also something that is a bit more armored. This deck is full of APS except for the Tua, and if the enemy realizes that, then you'll need to bring some backups because they're probably going to smoke the Tua with some ETGMs. Infantry are about the same. The ESV Bradley tears up vehicles pretty good, so try those out. But as always, those are the bunker buster rounds, so also good against infantry. Bring as many stingers as possible. The US SHORAD sucks, and they'll be bringing lots of helicopters, especially if you're playing Russia. So you're going to want to bring some stingers to sneak up on them or to have waiting for them when you get pushed by choppers. Try to soak the ATGMs and push with autocannons. Remember, this isn't war game. Your vehicles with autocannons and 50 cals can actually damage helicopters and hit them pretty hard, so keep that in mind, especially if you don't have AA or air. But if you don't have AA or air, you really shouldn't be doing anything otherwise or other than backup, so that your AA and air that you are bringing in can catch up quicker. Personally, I don't really bring too many ACVs, even though they're cool on a new vehicle, because they don't have APS. If you're playing a game like this, people are going to have ATGMs, and if they have ATGMs, your vehicles are going to die unless they have APS. That's pretty much how it goes, and that's pretty much what I stick to. But they can go across water, so that's there. Vehicle tab is simple, all maxed out here with 2 V3s, 4 V2s, and 2 FEPs with their new trophies. They add a trophy to the FEPs. Every single one of these can all do about the same job if you use them correctly because of their smoke and their way that they can take hits and their fire support, ability to kill T-15s and other tanks, so on and so forth. But you do need to support them correctly, while obviously the V3 can take a few more hits. If your opponent is spamming T-15s, go with quantity over quality. Get them to shoot their ATGMs, then push them, but don't get too close. You want to snipe them down with these tanks here. The Abrams in the US decks are the best tanks in the game, but not if you let them get hurt, not if you let them use up their smoke and their APSs before they actually get into that fight. Don't let them shoot first, don't let them hit you with ATGMs, and keep your units alive. That's the most important stuff that hasn't changed. The support tab is cooler now, as PIVADs and PAC-2s intercept seed missiles now, making it possible to sort of leave them alone as long as they are properly supplied. I put SHORAD near, but just in case choppers get cocky. But most of the time, it's one Patriot with supplies, then stagger 2 PIVADs in front of it in the most likely direction the seed missiles will be coming from. If you do it right, the enemy will need to spend significant resources to eliminate them. The SHORAD is the only consistent helicopter killer when facing intelligent enemies because they'll stay far away. If you get close enough, the LAVAD still does a good job, but your biggest threat is Zergs with ATGMs and helicopters for sure. Always keep that in mind. If you see a couple of helicopters stacking up, it's a problem. Pay attention. PRSM is crazy good and gets them to show where their AA batteries are if they keep those radars on in order to intercept the PRSMs. Because if they don't intercept them, it's going to do a lot of damage to whatever you can see. And then if their AA batteries are close enough, you can hit them with the Iron Thunders, which are expensive, but worth it if used correctly. Super Cobras for cheap sidewinders. Got the King Stallion for supply, Venom for transport and supply, as well as solid cheap recon because it's got the 1700 view distance there for 80 points, and Osprey for speed, and again, transport for supply. The Sea Hornet has the AIM 174s, which are the longest range that you can have for the US. Just remember to bring some closer range weapons on the same same platform. If you get too close, you can't always shoot depending on the minimum distance. Keep that in mind for all of your planes. Pay attention to not only the long distance shots, but the close distance, the closer distance shots. Now, it's a toss-up between the JSOW and the JDAMs for the F-35. The JSOWs are actually significantly more effective. I think they have a much wider distance or area of effect since the last test. These are very good right now, and then obviously the JDAMs you can laser guide if things aren't moving. Those can also be very good. And the F-35s in general are an absolute pain to shoot down and are somewhat cheap. If you put the JSOWs on, you'll have a bit of money issues, so I drop a Marine Squad for a IFAV up in the recon tab. This is the most consistent US deck that I've used. The Abrams do their thing as long as you keep them alive and properly supported, and the F-35s really are a super pain to shoot down. If you use those will cause absolute chaos for the enemies, depending on whether you bring the JSOWs and you kill vehicles, or JDAMs and you kill pretty much anything else. If they don't have their AA net set up correctly, one F-35 will do the job. Now, if you want to mess with the new units with the new spec, you can try this deck here, which I call JDAM Spam. You will be able to hold a choke point well, but wide areas will be a bit of a struggle as this is infantry heavy. It's Marine Airborne. You're not going to really get too many heavy vehicles here. So if they push hard, you'll have to be smart with your armor and air, and hopefully have some teammates there to help you out. I stacked this with as many sniper teams as possible, flood the back line, or just all lines, with these, see all of their AA and RD, and then punish them with artillery and air is the name of the game here. See their stuff, bomb it, or hit it with artillery. Hopefully don't get pushed too hard, and hold some choke points. The Global Hawk is great if you actually learn how to use it, and you lean on it. You actually use it correctly, actually use it and be smart with it. You're going to be able to learn the ranges of enemy AA, and this will win you games. I had an extra 105 points, so I put Predator on there too with some Hellfires, but it rarely gets to use them. Drones are still basically on suicide missions unless your enemy is blind or dumb or both. Luckily, it's only 100 points, but again, with the Global Hawk there, it is crazy good. It really spots a lot. Definitely check it out, guys. The infantry selection here is cool. They're still super slow and artillery bait, but keep that in mind when you use them and you'll do well. The ACV is it's a bit weird. It doesn't have ATGMs and no APS either, so it's basically just good at quickly getting infantry across water in my experience. Bring ATGM teams to help hold off vehicles, and bring Stingers for the helicopters. Otherwise, do what you want. The Raiders and the Airborne are a bit beefy. They can take a hit, so I go with them. The FEP Trophy, because APS, and the HCs because, well, you have no other choice for strong armor. Everything else is paper, or, well, actually, everything else is just paper. The AGS is cool with the APS, but sometimes you get through it and it can't really fight through that if it's actually still alive. In reality, it's fire support most of the time for me, which I'd rather have something that can take a hit if I'm going to do that. So it's got its uses, but I don't really use it too often. The Slam Ram is great, except against choppers. I bring the two Sidewinders anyway, but the times that you need them, they don't usually kill whatever you need to use them on. They love to not kill Mi-28s and sometimes the Ka-52s that you'll find sniping your front line, and they will get one shot by essentially anything because they are just a truck with missile strapped to them. You can choose to spam Avengers if you want, but I usually don't. I just go with the Lavad and hope it eats a shot. The Brutus is solid, cheap artillery, and I go with HE there, but again, mix and match, do what you guys want there. Super Cobras for Sidewinder carriers, and Recon Longbow for, it's an Apache longbow, but I keep the APKWS on there, and just one slot of Hellfires to keep the price down, where if you use it right, that's all you need before you can easily rearm, run out of enemies, or soften them up enough to have your other units finish them off. Not to mention, when the enemy sees a longbow in particular, they really want to assume that's full of Hellfires, which can either be good or really good, because they can either back up, or it can be really good and assume that, oh, it's going to take too long for it to aim, but the APKWS is there and it shoots faster, especially if it goes against like Stinger teams and things like that, or the Verba teams. If it's infantry and you can see them, the APKWS will take care of them most of the time. Speaking of those rockets there, that's also why I bring 3 regular Apaches with just those. They're kind of nasty, and it's kind of cheap when you bring the regular Apaches with them. Try those out. Get sneaky with them. They're going to do work. We got the Chinook for supplies, 2 Venom for supplies and transport, 2 Kiowas with Stinger and the Mast for anti-helo and recon. However, the Stingers love to not kill stuff. Even if you hit all 4 Stingers, it just, for some reason, loves to not kill things. So be careful with that. But they're there. It's better than nothing. All right, very important, very detailed tab here. So slow this down or pause on each plane, because this gets very specific in order to make the points work here. I don't suggest that you copy me exactly, though, as each of these planes have a specific type of let's say, moment to be used that I can't really explain in detail in this video, but I'm going to try anyway. The reason this is called JDAM spam is not because it's the most JDAMs, it's because it's the most efficient in my opinion. Each time I use the F-15Es, I will prep the area with seed and ASFs. The 4 2,000-pound JDAMs mince anything other than heavy tanks, but if you do hit all 4 on a heavy tank, on multiple even heavy tanks, they're gonna die. But if you really choose your targets, it completely destroys them. And by them, I mean just like literally everything that's on the other team. You can find their AA, you find their artillery, you find their supply depots. 4 2,000-pound bombs are insane, and you get 2 of them. And if you keep them alive by prepping the space correctly, it's a complete winning strategy. It is JDAM spam. With those fuel tanks on there, you can keep them loitering, so no matter the situation, I have something to counter it. If they bring planes, I have the 174s and the Sea Eagle, potentially, hopefully some AA on the ground too, so you want to keep them flying over your AA if you can. If they stack AA, I consistently seed. The Prowlers and Harrier will start low to the ground. You don't need to put them low. In fact, if you actually hit V, it'll put them higher in the air, so be careful with that when you're using these now. And if you consistently do it, if you keep doing it, it's going to drive your opponents absolutely crazy. So spot targets with the Global Hawk or sniper teams. If they send something after you to counter you, then bomb what you see, keep the bombers alive, and wash, rinse, repeat. The Sea Eagle is for additional helicopter support, but keep it low and put some Sidewinders on them. And the Harrier can do the same, except it brings some seed with it too. Very diverse, very useful, very powerful air deck right here. Now, unfortunately, you don't use the EX here. You don't use the F-35. I know a lot of you guys, this is going to be the first time that you're playing this. You're going to want to use those, especially the EX. The EX is absolutely insane, but it can get very expensive very quickly. And after some proper testing, guess what? It pretty much can still die like any other plane, so you got to be careful there. There is absolutely some choices out there. There are absolutely some decks out there where you can put a couple of EXs, put a couple of F-35s. You'll rarely get shot down, and you will be super effective with it. But sometimes just doesn't go your way. Sometimes some enemies are just a little bit too good at keeping that AA up, keeping those planes up, where I've got some extra options here. And personally, especially when I'm playing solo, I've found this to be, generally speaking, more effective. But if you're playing in a team stack, yeah, you can grab an EX and you can load it up with JDAMs, or you can load it up with JSALs, or really just anything, and you can just kind of sweep across a line while also bringing some seed missiles and have it be super effective. That is a choice, or that is an option. But sometimes it is going to get sniped, it is going to die, and it's going to take a while to get back because it is just one airframe. So definitely check out the EX because it's super cool. Check out the F-35 because it's just a workhorse, can do very well, very difficult to shoot down, and pretty cheap, all things considered. But again, this is what I'm going with because this is what I'm going with. So if you guys have any questions, come by stream, link on the screen and in the description. Now that you have 3 specs for each nation, there's a lot of options out there, and not every unit will perform the same against every enemy with every player. So mix and match from here, but I know this will get you started with the US in Broken Arrow during the newest open beta. Drop any questions you might have. Again, come by the stream, link on the screen and in the description if you guys are interested. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like or share if this helped you out, and have a nice day. See you guys.